All right, welcome to Old School. Cenk Uygur, Dave Kohler, J.R. Jackson with you guys tonight. Old School brought to you by TooStrongCoffee.com/TYT. I could never get it on the camera. There you go, something like that. Oh, not bad, not bad.
Nice.
That's I think you still get the free mug on if you order 3 bags. TooStrongCoffee.com/TYT. They're also doing a sale and of 18%. So I think you need to panic. And I think they're also giving away 18% to women's causes because of an event. I'm typing in right now to see if they and I typed it wrong. Too strong. I misspelled coffee. I'm trying to see if that 18% sale is still on, if I'm lying to you or not. No, Women's Equality Day. Boom. Giving it women's causes because of women's equality. 18% off site wide. I don't understand why you wouldn't take advantage. All right, it'd be crazy not to. And they give money to progressive causes. They have lovely mugs. You get it. Okay, so guys, I'm thinking of. By the way, also shoptyt.com. Get my dad's book, The Original Young Turk. That one's actually out as opposed to mine. So there's 2 things I want to start with. One is pet peeves. Which I think you guys would be perfect for, JR. And if we used to give me 2 guys with pet peeves, I'd say JR Jackson and Dave Cole. And I happen to have it on my list anyway, so it's gonna be great. But I'm gonna start with a little bit of culture/politics, the stuff we've always been talking about, because I can't help myself. So
I've got 2 fun things too, Cenk. So we have a lot of good stuff.
Okay, great.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, give me a preview of your 2 fun.
One of them is a 43-year-old man in his porn collection, put it that way.
Huh.
And the other one is more Ricky Strom and old school sports type of thing. But it's not just about like the balls and strikes, but it's definitely about the Mets. Since you guys are those East Coast New Jersey guys, it's close enough to home for you guys. I think you might be able to relate, especially since you're old school baseball guys. I think you guys don't watch baseball like you used to, but this might actually interest you a little bit more.
Yeah, no, that I'm in. It's an old school topics, and the 43-year-old guy in his porn. Everybody's looking for it. Come on, let's be honest about it. So we don't have to lie to people. It's old school. So this guy got fired. Let me tell you who he is. Daniel Darling. He was with the National Religious Broadcasters, and I don't know if you guys have seen this story, but he got fired for saying that he took the vaccine and he encourages others to take it to save their lives. And you think like, really, did he really get fired for that? Or was it like something else and just timing of he happened to write a USA Today op-ed about it and go on Morning Joe. And no, Religion News Services put out a statement saying that he would not, quote, not admit his pro-vaccine statements were mistaken. Because they're not. Okay, so I can't stop talking about this, guys, because I'm so amazed by it and I'm so infuriated by it. I'm so everything by it. I mean, look, if we ever get back to sanity, this is a moment in time that they'll look back and go, wow, can you imagine what they believed and what a giant percentage, et cetera. Or maybe that's not true. Number 1, maybe we never get back to sanity. And number 2, maybe we're never sane in the first place. And that's why I brought it up tonight, at least. So let me start with you, Dave. Have we always been this crazy and we just didn't know it? And somehow this kind of like turned over the rock and showed us the insanity of humanity?
Well, if we've always been this crazy and we didn't know it, there was no opportunity to kind of test this craziness that I can think of where there was something that everyone should do for their own good and for society's good, and then a whole bunch of people just refuse and make up reasons why. I can't think of in my knowledge of my decades on Earth where we were in such a situation. So it seems new to me.
Yeah, okay, so I'm not the one who took the crazy pill on that one either. Like we all knew humanity, it's a little broken, right? Or maybe it's 40% broken, but this is different, man.
Well, this is the problem. This is part of the problem, I think. So the thing is humanity's always been crazy. You know, people always say like, oh man, I never seen racism get so bad or sexism. It's always been bad. It's just we're able to see it more. You know, like even police brutality, it gets filmed more because everyone has a little computer in their hand every day. So anyone can break out their computer and film it happening. It's always been happening. It's just we're able to see it more now. So now the thing is call me old man, but it's social media. Now, social media is very beneficial. It connects a lot of people. It also connects a lot of crazy people. So previous to this, you may have your little cabal of people in one small town and who goes nowhere, you know, Nebraska. And then they say their stuff to each other and then they kind of generate it among 15 people and it kind of dies out or they die out. Now, in this case, we got enough people across the world. Anybody, nobody's randoms, crazies, people looking to benefit, take advantage of, they all communicate now. And now they're giving each other enough of like this, they generate an energy around each other to think, oh no, I'm not crazy anymore. I'm not the crazy one. They're everywhere, but they're not all crazy, but they're now communicating and they're giving each other these feelings of, oh yeah, I can kick someone out of their job because I have enough people I don't know who've galvanized and supported my insane message online for me to feel comfortable doing this type of stuff now. So social media has connected all kinds of people, including the crazies, and the crazies are now like motivated. And now they can collect, they can go meet in Santa Monica and talk crazy to each other and say random things and everyone go, yeah, that's right, that's right. No, it's not right, it's not right. But there's enough people that aren't right that are telling that they're right. And now we've got a huge problem because there's a complete alternate reality for whatever reason for many of these people do it for. They all do it for different reasons. But it comes to one conclusion. They all can think that it's now right when they're not.
Yeah, no, you're definitely right about that. They're validating one another. And so they don't seem like the only crazy person in their hometown anymore. All of a sudden they're like, what do you mean? There's hundreds of us, thousands of us who all think the same thing. We can't all be crazy. Well, I got bad news for you. It turns out you can.
So
yeah,
I think JR's analysis is largely right also, but that's blaming social media has been very common the past 5 to 10 years for all sorts of things, and there's good reason for that. But I gotta think there's something more because life existed before social media. There were good movements in society before social media and bad movements, and people got together and people united for a cause across wide geographic areas all before social media existed.
True.
So there's got to be something else going.
Yeah, no. So let me try here because I'm trying to get. This is not a usual TYT segment where we're mad at him and frustrated and yelling at him, or and sometimes we sympathize, but not that often anymore. But no, I'm trying to get to the heart of it. So Dave is also right, which leads to the conclusion that it's the culture, right? And there's. And America used to have more of a monolithic culture for at least a pocket of time where we were all watching the same 3 television stations. And I think that set our culture. And I think we were united in World War II because there was a draft and we all, from all different walks of life and races, et cetera, went into the same cause and were next to each other in the trenches and we talked to each other. So the kid from Brooklyn understood the kid from Kansas and California, et cetera, right? And so that created a common culture. Now the culture has become not just bifurcated, but split into almost a multiverse, if you will, if you're a Marvel Comic Universe fan. And so there's this award-winning book written by Orhan Pamuk, who is a Turkish writer, and it's called Snow. And I think it was an actual phenomenon that he took and then turned into a fiction. A novel, and it was a group of girls who started committing suicide in northeastern Turkey, and the more that they were in the news for committing suicide, the more girls committed suicide, right? So, I mean that's a hell of a thing. That's why the book was super interesting and it won a whole bunch of awards. I think he might have won a Nobel for that, but. That leads me to a couple of conclusions. One, some sort of media that sets the culture is critical. Number 2, humans are enormously suggestible, right? I don't know if that's the right term. Open to suggestion. And And so when they see other people doing it, to JR's point, now they're seeing it in social media. We've broken up into smaller clusters of communities and cultures. It's so self-validating and self-perpetuating that it's hard to penetrate it. You just can't break through. And it appears that you could really believe the craziest things. It doesn't matter how crazy it is, as long as enough of you believe it. And there's some sort of media to back it up.
Yeah, and then this is the thing. This is what I thought before, just in my random musings as to why people are insane. But there's motivations behind things that feed it. So look, we got capitalism. We've got people in dire situations. We got COVID happening. The political approach with Donald Trump in office and how many lives were destroyed by just the way politicians go about things. Politicians have always been opportunists, but now they get to tap into the insanity of regular people on a very quick basis. This is now rapid. So Dave, you talked about how movements happened before and people galvanized and organized and did activism, whatever they did. Now it can happen in a day. The January 6th thing came together in however long, weeks or so. Enough people put it together because they can see it immediately instead of waiting for a mailer or going out in their community center and seeing a flyer posted to a post. It's right in front of them and they can activate it way faster. So the rapid nature of destroying things is quick. It's like a virus, ironically. It can just take over so much quicker. So we have a horrible situation with our capitalism. People are desperate because we're getting on the healthcare. I'm talking specifically America. This is worldwide, but specifically here, since this is where we are. So then there's desperation. So there's opportunists. If I want to make some money, I can tap into these people's insanity and go, you're right. And I have this to say and I have that to say. That's what all these pundits are doing. And it just accelerates the craziness even more because people want to make money off of it. And they don't care what happens to society because as long as I get mine, because everything else is falling apart. I think it's another element of it. If we weren't so desperate, maybe we wouldn't be so crazy and willing to believe it.
Yeah, that's interesting. Desperation could play into it. And there are good examples of that too. The suicide story that I talked about was partially because they were so desperate in their family situations and they were gonna get married off, blah, blah, blah. And in Germany, obviously, where there was an enormous, horrible cult, that formed because of desperation of inflation in the post-World War I situation. And so it does make people more susceptible to the wrong kinds of suggestions, it appears. But Dave, I don't know if it's the last thing, but it seems like there's no, it's just a part of humanity. And so when things people will be able to do this pretty much ad nauseum going forward. We ain't going back to 3 stations. We're not going back to Walter Cronkite. So there'll be communities of madness probably forever and all around us. Does that make sense or no?
Yeah, it makes sense. But at the same time, I know you'll love and agree with this. Things have never been better. For example, the vaccines were developed in record time and saved us from this pandemic. And
thank you, Donald Trump.
Technology and innovation that's making life better. And some people are making money. I'm not talking about the billionaires and the people who are corrupting our system, but regular people. You just buy a couple shares of this or that, or Bitcoin or Amazon, and next thing you know, you made a lot of money. Life has never been better. Yet you have the crazies and the people who don't want to get vaccinated.
Yeah, it's true. Both are true at the same time. Yeah, there's less war now. And guys, let's not romanticize the past. I think there was only a pocket of sanity in the time that we shared a culture. And there were things wrong with that culture too, but at least we shared it. And we were not ripping each other to shreds. Or we were, but it was accepted. I mean, let's keep it real, right? Yeah. So, I mean, are things better now? I mean, I made the reference to Germany. Yeah, what was that? That was only 80 years ago. And that was pretty bad. Okay, that was way worse than now. And then, look, I don't want to make it too dark, but the thing that I always come back to, at least in my mind, is lynchings. It's kind of a weird thing to say, but the reason I come back to that is because I always think how could they have? How? And because I hate to do it. I'll just say this one part. They had picnics around it.
Yeah.
And so, man, we're capable of a lot of bad things, a lot of crazy things. But Dave's right. We're also capable of amazing things and wonderful things. And I secretly have hope that we're going to figure out climate change. A lot of people I know are really pessimistic about it. But we figured out the vaccines, and we're innovative little, you know what, right? So I guess what we're concluding on is, as long as the media is splintered, and from now on it will be forever splintered, and as long as communities can form independently, which they will be able to because of the internet, we'll always be divided. It's just a question of how much and how crazy. Does that make sense?
Yeah, this is a fun start. I like it.
Before we get to the porn, there's no hope. We'll see you guys later. But Dave, did what I said, did that make sense? Am I missing anything? Or no, that sounds about right.
Yeah, no, that sounds about right, and it makes sense. On the specific point, though, of vaccinations, I don't know what'll happen. I can't imagine, but people will have to realize that, yeah, maybe we should, like that guy that you started this talking about. I forget whatever, but he went pro-vaccine and they fired him. But yeah, people are going to start going pro-vaccine. I think we're going to improve in that narrow area. It's going to take a few months, time, a year, or whatever.
And how much will people be worried about being outcast from their communities? Because the point of doing that, it's only one guy, but the point is to make an example, obviously. So you don't come around here with that madness. I mean, look, we saw Larry Elder switch his mind on what he said happened with the 2020 election because he got pressured by the people he's trying to impress. And once you cross the line, anyone else that's a candidate that has any kind of standing may go, well, I'm not going to be that dumb. Like, it's all just to fit in. It's to make sure you fit your puzzle piece into the puzzle. And if it's a crazy puzzle, then fine. I'm a part of the crazy puzzle as long as I'm in it.
Yeah. So super last thing on this, because Daniel Darling is the guy's name. You guys are right. Like, and there's a part of humanity where you want to fit in, because if you're ostracized from the group, then you're in the woods alone.
Yeah.
And so that's in our genes. And so that fear of being ostracized is overwhelming, and the power of ostracizing is overwhelming. So, but all that is true and clear. The last thing is, I wonder if Dave is right or wrong. So, yeah, Daniel Darling saw the light. I don't know that he ever didn't see the light, right? And so, but he did get kicked out, and JR is right that that's going to intimidate everyone else. And so, is there enough people who died where they then flip and go, yeah, I guess that wasn't true, right? Oops. Or does that never happen, no matter how many people die? I mean, 1,700 people a week dying in Florida from a limited group of people who are unvaccinated. They're dying at a crazy pace, an unbelievable pace. And yeah, whatever.
I think eventually, yeah, Dave's right, eventually, but it's gonna take a lot of people dying. I mean, we're crossing now barriers where we used to think people will only change their minds if it affects them directly, which is still true. But then there's still whatever percentage, I'd have to do a study, but of people who don't care how close it hits home to them. There's a guy who just died, and then there's a headline I read, so I don't know the details, so I apologize. But they said he died after his father got COVID, and after his father got COVID and died, he said, I'm still not taking that vaccine. So the person who gave you life, you don't care that they died and you saw how it happened. So you did the same thing. So there's a certain percentage of people that still, even when it hits that close to home, they still won't flip it. Maybe he didn't like his father. Maybe they had a bad relationship. Maybe he was abusive when they grew up. I don't know, but he didn't even care. And there's another story. Like, these are all just minor stories about things that happen in people's lives that are unknown. But when it gets that close to home, they still go, yep, my mom died, whatever. Who does that? Some people. So they all have to die first and then take others with them that shouldn't have had to go. And maybe we'll get there, I don't know.
Okay, so yeah, unfortunately, I've concluded it's not conclusion's too strong. But right now, if I had to guess, I would guess that cognitive dissonance is going to kick in, and they're going to keep moving the goalposts instead of saying, "Oh yeah, my dad died, my uncle died." Maybe they were right all along. They're going to say, "Oh no, they died because they didn't get horse paste, and if the doctor had just given them horse medicine, they would have survived." Oh yeah, the doctor screwed us. That's what I'm worried that that's next.
It is.
And it's almost definitely next. JR and I were talking about this in the morning. I briefly mentioned it on the Young Turks today. They're going to start saying the doctors are killing people instead of saving them. Because yeah, that rabbit hole has no end. Okay, let's move on to other stuff. But before we do that, I want to read some member comments. Pale Blue Dot writes in the member section, Dave Kohler alert, Dave Kohler alert. And then Biden flavor corn pop writes in, Dave Kohler. That's it. And a bunch of emojis. Explosions, hearts, fire. Progressive Dragon says, please make me laugh tonight. It's been a rough, tough few days. Can do, I hope. We're gonna get to that in a second. Occam's Taser says, who on the panel is broadcasting from LAX? That's a good question.
Yeah.
Sorry, that's me. I live right next to LAX and my windows are open because it's hot today. I can close those since you guys are complaining.
It's literal. They were joking, but it's literal.
Oh no, there's airplanes flying by. I'll be back.
Okay, he's actually gonna literally close the window. Okay. And Ben lives near another airport, so we get that when he's on the show. Tyler Hackner says on YouTube Super Chat, Tyler, thank you for using Super Chat. Just says, love this show. Right back at you. By the way, you can hit the join button below and try to call out names. Look at this, Dragon Princess gave 500 bits. BC Trumpet gave 200 bits. I read Crazy Hawaiian and tell me what you put in the beginning of the show, but love you guys anyway. And Brett Ehrlich says, quote, I am real. Oh, okay, so Brett Ehrlich's been a member on Twitch for 11 months. We like that, Brett. Should have been 17, no, I'm just kidding. Okay, Synth Beats just subscribed with Prime. Velvet Goldmine subscribed with Prime. They've been subscribed for 9 months. And they say, woohoo, 9 months on Twitch. I've been a TYT.com member for 5 years. And I've been watching since about 2010. What a great old school panel to celebrate my subiversary. Subiversary, an awkward word, the kind of word we would have made up on old school. So I like it, and thank you for doing both. Really appreciate it. Okay, now, so here's my pet peeve, and then I'm gonna throw it to the pet peeve kings. People who don't know the cadence of conversations. I say something, you say something, somebody says or yeah or okay. It's usually a verbal cue that they're about to say something next. So when you get a chance, take a break and let them jump in, okay? I've now been on the phone, well, many times in my life, but recently a couple of times as well, where people just don't understand that. They'll talk for 12 minutes straight. And I always think like, have you been living on the same planet as us? Do you know that people generally say something in the middle of a conversation and then you go back and forth? I can't be alone in this observation. So I'm not gonna even ask if it's real. It's definitely real. How much does that bother you guys, or is it just me with that pet peeve?
We're talking people just bulldozing the conversation constantly?
Yeah, and never stopping, no matter what verbal cues they get. Or in person, sometimes like physical cues, like somebody will be like, and kind of like lean in. Nope, keep going. They're in the middle of an 8-minute rant. Not even rant, just an 8-minute nonstop talking.
Well, I guess mine is more when I'm trying to leave a conversation and they won't let me. Yeah, it's a similar thing. Like if you can give cues, like if you have your bag and you kind of take 2 steps away from them, you're like, yeah, you're right. You know what? That's right. Like it's almost like a telephone conversation. You know, when you're about to get off the phone, I was just telling my wife about this the other day. I said, I think we don't talk on phones enough anymore to know how to hang up. Because I have to hang up on people about 35% of the time. No, I'm sorry, 45, 50% of the time. Because you go, okay, yeah, sure, good to see you, thanks. I'll talk to you later. Okay. After the okay, you go bye. But people keep going, sure, that's right, I hear you. Okay, I'm like, okay, bro, I'm already gone. Anyway, people don't get the normal cues for how to hang up a phone, so they probably don't get their normal cues on how to progress a conversation. If somebody gives you that, I don't know why it is. It's weird. Again, hey, don't make me go back to the fact that we don't speak to each other anymore, because I'm really sounding like an old man today. But it's because people don't know how to talk anymore. Speaking and talking and having a conversation isn't a thing anymore. It's typing to each other. And it's messaging each other. And I'm not saying it's a bad thing, because if you call me and I see the phone ringing, I'm gonna wait for it to stop ringing so I can text you and say, what did you want?
Well, then you can't complain about people not talking anymore if you do that. You had me all the way until then. But I do love the old man like rants. That I'm here for.
I'm being honest.
Dave and I had a friend who would hang up abruptly. And so the minute he got a sense you were done with the conversation, he'd be like, okay, bye. And you'd be like, what? And he's already gone, okay? And so I used to think that was kind of weird, right? Now I miss it, because JR, you're right. And I'll out one person here. And this is not the first pet peeve I started with. This is now JR's pet peeve. And look, half of you are gonna say, oh yeah, me too. My mom. I love her, but she doesn't understand. Great, mom, good to hear from you. Love you, gotta go. She's like, yeah. So as I was saying, no, not as you were saying. I gotta go is not subtle.
You know what happens also? The other one used to be, so I'm gonna let you go. I mean, that was the thing, I'm gonna let you go. No, that means I'm gonna let me go.
Yeah, that's right. But that was nice and polite, you know? Dave, thoughts, go.
Yeah, so of course it's real. If it's in a personal conversation, maybe it's annoying. It's just not a pet peeve. I feel as bad for that other person who doesn't get it as I do for myself. But when it's in a conversation where you're trying to accomplish something, which could be either work or something like in your personal, like a doctor or someone who's gonna fix something in your house, you have a objective of the conversation and they go on and on and on and on, then it enters pet peeve land for me. But only in that specific case.
Or for business situations.
Business, or when you're trying to accomplish something. If it's a personal conversation and the other person's just going on and on and on, yeah, it's annoying, but whatever.
So
not a personal peeve, not a pet peeve.
Okay, that's funny because it's funny on a couple of accounts. I like that Dave has a very specific plumber/doctor rule. Like, it's okay, unless you're a plumber, doctor, or accountant. No, then wrap it up, dude. Wrap it up. Okay.
Because there's nothing personal there. Like, he doesn't have any emotional or personal connection to this plumber or doctor. He's like, why are we still talking? We don't have to do this. At least if it's your family, you can be like, okay, I care about them.
Yeah. But we've hit on something interesting though, is what JR said, which is who hangs up first. I don't like to hang up first. And maybe that is partly related to all these pet peeves we're talking about. I like to let them go. I say, I'm gonna let you go. I don't say it that way, but my verbal cues are that way, right? And in fact, I actually developed kind of almost a borderline tick. I wonder if it annoys. I think Dave is more likely to hear it from me than JR. But, well, actually, you're all likely to hear it because I say it on air too. When I want to go, I say, okay, last thing.
Yeah.
And then I say my point, and I guess that's my cue. Like, I got to wrap this up. Is that annoying? So I'm doing two different things at once. Let's talk about my last thing.
I love that. No, I need that. I like that because I need structure. I'm a structure person with everything. I'm a little bit too much. I think you guys found that out a couple weeks ago when we talked about socks. So I'm definitely.
Oh yeah. Oh, you're borderline OCD, or like maybe way past the borderline. Yeah.
I'm a structure person. If you give me a structure for how this is gonna end, we will end it. And if I don't, if I say we're doing the show and I do have one more thing to say, I will say, but I do have one super last thing for me too. I'll say that because I gotta get it out. But there's many times where I don't get that out because I'm like, we already went super last thing, let's go. But I'm there for the verbal cues of let's end this, let's wrap this up. It's cool. But when it comes to hanging up, it's so weird. I didn't even It's subconscious, bro, because I didn't even know this consciously. But now that you say it, I do. I also like letting the person hang up, but I don't like them doing it too fast. Okay, wait. So my wife hangs up fast lately. Before she was way slower. And you'd be okay, see you, bye. Look at your phone. It's like a second or two beat. And if I get to it, I'm like, oh, I hope she wasn't still saying something. And I get off. But if as soon as I take my hand off the phone off my ear and it's already on the red, I'm like, damn, that was quick, bro. Like, was that bothering you? You know, like
no, it's over.
It's so weird.
It's over.
It's so weird.
I don't even want to hear from Justice Kohler. This case is decided. We have a new old school rule. JR is absolutely right. The correct way to hang up is a 2-second buffer. Enough time to kind of look at your phone, make sure everybody's okay, and then press the hang up thing. Because if you just go too abruptly, then you don't know if you're being rude. If they don't let you go, I don't know about rude, but they're not getting it, right? So you got to let people go, but you can't be too abrupt. Hence the 1.5 to 2 second rule.
Absolutely, 100%. But the thing is, I don't want to be the first one either. But I don't want you to be the first one too fast.
That's what we do old school for. So now we know that fact about humanity. Dave, how about you? When I say last thing, does that annoy you, or did you even notice?
Oh, I definitely know. First of all, you violate last thing, as you know, because you have super and super last things. But other than that, if I'm someone who talks to you or can talk to you whenever is necessary or on some frequent basis, then it doesn't bother me at all. Yeah, super last thing for this conversation. I'll talk to you later. But if it's somebody talking to you who perhaps doesn't speak to you very frequently, or maybe this is like once a year, I can see that person getting annoyed by it, but not me. But
okay, that's fair. And do you know if you hang up first, or generally you let the other person hang up first?
Look, 98% of the time, it's all done properly by both people. You two and your rule is correct, but you're gonna have a miserable life if you're overly obsessed with these details. Like most of the time it works. You're talking, hey, yeah, that was great. Yeah, good talking to you. See, clear. It's all smooth. You're talking about the rare occasions when someone is either too fast or too slow. Don't worry about it.
This is the problem, though. I mean, not the problem, but it's the solution is just don't get on the phone like I don't, unless your mom calls, because then you have to.
Sure.
Yeah. No, I almost never let it ring. But on the other hand, I'm not like my dad either. My dad will, if the phone rings, he thinks every single time it's a national emergency. Oh Lord! He's like, okay, hold on, I'm getting on the phone, right? And you're like, all right, Dad, you're driving. It's okay. Like, well, they'll leave a message or you call them back. The great thing about cell phones is their number is right there. You can just redial it. It's not like the old days where you missed it. God, well, now we'll never know who called. You remember those days?
The degree to which I can see your dad doing that is so clear. It's 100% clear. I've never seen him do it, but I can see it. It's
yeah. By the way, though, to be fair to my dad, those bad old days were scarring. I hated when somebody called and I missed the call and they didn't leave a message. And I always thought, no, I'll never know. Yeah. It could have been Con, it could have been David. Maybe we're gonna play kickball. It was gonna be great, but now it's gone.
Everything is up on his head now because I have one more. Not you bringing all this to the forefront of my brain. If you call me and I don't pick up, please do not leave a message. Please don't leave a message. Hey, don't tell me why you called. Don't tell me who you are. Don't tell me your phone number because it's right there, bro. You just called me. So I don't need information. The point of answer machines back in 1980 was, hey, it's Jim. I'm just calling. It's 4:43 p.m. on Tuesday. I was just calling to see. No, I don't need any of that. You know what? I saw the Jim called when I saw the missed call. Under Jim is the phone number. If I want to know
that is the time you call.
Metadata.
If I want to know why you called, I will respond.
Yeah, no, but you know what? Almost no one does that anymore. And that for me, that flipped about 2 years ago. My mailbox on my phone has been full for about 2 years, and I haven't cared because nobody leaves messages anymore. And I stopped leaving messages. I just realized I said nobody leaves messages anymore. How would I know? My mailbox has been full for 2 years. Maybe they would have left messages. Anyway, but I know when I stopped leaving messages for Ben. And why Ben? Because that some bitch never picks up his phone, right? So I used to leave a message back in the day, and then he has a really long answering machine message or whatever, greeting, right? Mm-hmm. And then I was like, wait, why am I leaving a message? I'll just text him. And I was like, oh my God. That was my breakthrough. Oh, right, I don't have to leave a message. I can just text.
Easy.
Okay, now we're gonna go on to your guys' pet peeves, because apparently Dave was not impressed by mine. But I'm gonna read some comments first. Oxbox 1991 says, LOL, this is turning into a boomer conv. Yeah, it's called old school. They won't take this off. Tell me what to put gave 2,345 bits. I swear to God, I read that. Now I might have read it 3 times. Don't get me wrong. I love Tell Me What to Put, and I see it every day. The bits that they put in, it's amazing. Now, Dave Schmidt, 311, gifted another sub. This I didn't know. Dave has gifted a total of 215 subs. That's amazing. So thank you, Dave Schmidt, 311. You're awesome. And Atomic Ann on the member section says, love it, Dave keeping it real, always. Dave does not have a non-real mode. That's not a thing that exists. Zoolander Establishment Dems writes in, is there something past super lasting? Yes, it's on a mug that Judith made for me. It's super lasting. But I don't think I've ever done a triple super.
Probably not.
No, I don't think so.
We may have to go to the tape.
But I'm not sure. Yeah, we'll have to go to the videotape. Warner Wolf. That's an old school reference.
Is Atomic Ann the Atomic Ann from like 18 years ago?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
She only shows up during old school on the comment section.
Oh.
I don't know why. Yeah. But Atomic Ann's been around forever and we love her. But I never see her comment during the main show. I only see it during old school.
Too many young whippersnappers that aren't old school folks.
Yeah, but you know what? I like it. It's quirky. I like quirky. So speaking of quirky, Dave Kohler, pet peeves, go.
I'm pretty weak here today. I hate it when the weather people on TV say the temperatures are going to be hotter this weekend. The temperatures are not hot. Temperatures are high or low, but they're not hotter.
That's your pet peeve. Oh, I knew I'd love it one way or another.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Well, I told you it'd be weak sauce, but that's what's on my mind right now. Another one, though, with the weather people, it just happened a few days ago. It was hot, and they said, the weather person, whoever it was, said, oh, we had a high today of 91 and triple digits in some areas. Well, was the high 91 or was the high in the triple digits in some areas?
Logical inconsistencies. Okay, and grammar. Those are Dave's pet peeves, and that makes sense. Knowing him, it has been that for a while. But what I got out of that story is, Dave, you're still watching local news?
Well, yes. It's self-inflicted torture. It's so bad.
It's been so bad for 40 years. But
yeah.
Has it? But is it worse now?
No, only the same. It hasn't changed. And I don't sit there and watch it. It's in the background when I'm doing dishes or something.
Too late, bro.
Yeah. No, you're out. You watch it. Gotcha. Okay. You're allowed to watch it. It's quirky, but I remember when I started telling Ben that I don't watch local news anymore, and I think their days might be numbered. And he's like, nah, it's not gonna happen. Now it's like we catch Dave watching local news, And we're like, whoa, quirky.
I like seeing Hermela Aragawi every once in a while. I get so excited at like your dad answering the phone.
Yeah, Hermela used to work with us at Current TV, and we all love her. And so, yeah, she's a local reporter on CBS. So you're right. I mean, when I see, I don't watch TV, but I'll see her on Instagram or something, and I'll be like, Hermela, there she is on the set. There it is. Look at her, right? But now you stumble onto another thing, which is, do you keep the TV on in the background? I never do that because I hate peripheral noise, and I can only concentrate on one thing at a time. So if a TV's on, I'm not hearing it. It's only driving me crazy. It's like bad white noise, whatever that is. Okay, it's almost like rainbow noise. It's so distracting. I'm like, it's nails on a chalkboard for me. JR, do you have the TV on in the background or no?
Yeah, I do, but it has to be certain things. It has to be something that I only need to pay attention to whenever something, my ear happens to open up. Like today, if it's too quiet, I don't like silence. Like I've lived in a big city too long. I don't like silence. I grew up like in the country, like out in the country in St. Louis County, but it was like the country. Like our backyard was the damn woods. So I grew up with like, not silence, but it was the sounds of the woods, crickets and whatever random bugs are back there. But I'm used to traffic now, and as you heard, airplanes, horns and all this stuff. So like, if it's too quiet, I can't go to sleep in silence. I can't do it. But I don't need the TV for sleep. But there's a thing like today while I was working, I was editing videos today, and the dog was here, and it was just me and the dog. And I was like, man, the dog must be bored as hell right now. So I just turned on MLB Network so we could have some analysis, sports talk analysis in the background, or maybe some highlights here and there. And if you hear someone go, and this is when I started talking about the Met stuff that I'm gonna bring up later, is that they go, oh, and Francisco Lindor, like, oh, I wonder what Francisco Lindor is doing. And you check out Francisco Lindor, then you go back to what you're doing. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful situation. It doesn't have to take over, but it's not super loud either.
No, what you just described is a form of torture for me. I'll get distracted every time. I won't be able to do my work. And I don't want to know about Francisco Cabrera or whatever his name is. And so, but the most amusing part of the story was that you cared about the dog's boredom.
Yeah.
It has never occurred to me to care about a dog's state of excitement.
I can tell, yeah, it's certain dogs. Some dogs don't let you know. This one does. Every time you do something, he'll look up and go, so what's going on? And if it's nothing, he'll put his head back down and go, and I'm like, damn, this guy's really bored. I'm not exaggerating.
Not human, and that you're projecting. But Dave, all right. So we only have a minute left, and we still in the. So for those of you who are members or can become members right now by hitting the join button below or tyt.com/join, we still have JR's porn story, the Mets story, and we still haven't gotten to JR's pet peeve. So all that tyt.com/join is going to be in the next episode. But Dave, do you have the TV on all the time in the background, or just
not all the time? The answer is yes. I have it on in the background. I'm not saying it's not from morning till night, but a chunk of the day, yes.
And what is it normally on? Is it like, because local news is not on 24/7, so it's like Wendy Williams going on in the background, and you're cool?
It's a lot of local news, some CNN, some cable news, and sports too. And during like now US Open, there's just tennis on in the background all the time.
That's great. That's perfect.
Yeah.
No. Like you're either watching it or you're not watching it. And if you're trying to watch it and you're trying to do work, then you're annoyed by work because you want to watch the match, right?
Background. You're not trying or not trying. It's just
non-committal. It's non-committal. It doesn't have to. It's not asking for too much.
No, I like to commit. Okay, and another way of putting it is I just can't concentrate on two things at once. It's a failing or whatever it is, but I can't do it, and it drives me crazy. I love being alone. And super last thing. See what I just did? So JR, you say you can't sleep or whatever now, or you don't like it when it's quiet. Oh my God, I love quiet. Oh my God, it's my favorite thing in the world. So
Bro, I generally go to sleep with, I'm sorry, super last thing, obviously. If I go into the bedroom after my wife, she's been asleep already, and it's silent in there. I got these headphones that are like headband headphones, so that you can sleep in them. And I just put them on, and I connect them to my device, and I put on like storms. I put on like someone talking. Like I need something happening in my ear, and I go to sleep like that. I need it happening.
Wow, that's amazing. Yeah. Or you could just have your wife talk to you. And
she's passed out.
Yeah. Does my wife get annoyed when I do that? I guess. All right, we gotta go, guys. If you remember, we'll start with porn in the next episode. Okay, so tyt.com/join. We'll see you over there. Back on old school. Jank, Dave, and JR. I forgot my own name for a second, so I'm sharp. Okay, we're gonna go back to pet peeves. I hope at the end because I realized I have a major one that I didn't get to. I'll give quick shout outs here. Lori says, "Hi, DK in LA." It's been a while, DK.
Man, I haven't heard that in a while.
Yeah, I don't even know why they would know that.
Must be old school. Yeah. That's an old school viewer if you know DK in LA.
Absolutely.
So Dave used to have like a YouTube channel, which he stopped approximately 14 years ago. And he, back his social media presence in general, he was wonderfully bitter about. So that's another fun topic maybe for another day or later today. BC Trumpet gifted a sub. And it turns out they've gifted a total of 372 on the channel. So that's amazing. So thank you. I love you guys. All right, so JR, porn, go.
Oh my God, this is amazing. So I feel like maybe we talked about this years ago because like everything went down in 2017, but now it's come to the end. There's an Indiana man, he's 43 years old. This is the reason why the background of this is so familiar. Either I read it before or we did it, but 43 years old, he went through a divorce. And he went back home to live with his parents after the divorce because he had to reset, get himself going. Upon going back with his parents, a 43-year-old man is gonna get into some arguments with his old parents that probably don't like the way he lives because he got divorced. He probably screwed that marriage up in the first place, number one. Number two, can we cuss here again? Because I'm about to go in.
Yes.
Because I'm gonna let you guys know what this guy was doing. So since then, they kicked his ass back out because he was probably annoying them. They don't like the way he lives. They don't like the things he's done with his life. So they kicked him out again. In the meantime, he ended up on the streets. This is the sad part about it. They discovered he was there. They got him connected with the church and the ministry center. Upon doing all that, his stuff was still at their house. He had a vast porn collection, and it was extensive. thousands, I think he said thousands of tapes, VHS, DVDs. This man was a connoisseur, and he went through every genre he could possibly think of. Genres you don't want to watch. Things like bestiality. What else was there? There was incest, torture. This guy was weird, right? So he likes all that stuff. His parents found it and said, "This is garbage," and they threw it out. He came back to get his stuff and he goes, "There's some things missing here, bro." No, I'm sorry. I think things once they found him on the streets, they put him in the Christian center and gave him some of his stuff. He goes, "This box is kind of light, Mom." His porn was missing because they threw it all out. Some of the titles include Gangbang Fury, Sexy Euro Girls, Sex Tribe, Anal Woman 2, Living Doll. There's a lot of this, like, no lie. I started number 154, and this truncated list goes to 181. Perverted POV 2, Ass Man 19.
Oh, Ass Man. You're still going, huh?
So a lot of these happened, right? Now the problem is now his parents owe him $45,000 because the judge has ruled in his favor that he tried to come up with some kind of number of how much his DVDs are worth. He said he claims that the items total $10,000 and the emotional attachment to them would be worth around $30,000 for the emotional attachment to all of his huge porn collection. And so now a judge has ruled in his favor, gave him $30,000, and then they also have to pay $14,500 for his attorney and legal fees because they threw out his beautiful, beautiful porn collection. Now, lastly, his father also said, this is a quote, "There's plenty of porn on the internet if you want to watch that. Try YouPorn or Xhamster." He said, "Believe me, I know you need it." Oh no, I'm sorry. He said this to his dad. Go on YouPorn and Hamster and watch some of the stuff you want to see yourself because you need it because you have a little strained relationship with mom anyway. Like, this is a bad relationship. And anyway, after all that, they kick his ass out. He's been divorced, and they got to pay him $45,000 for all of his porn. And I don't know if this is good because he seems like he's probably a bit of a degenerate to society, but he had a collection, bro. He had a collection.
Well, I mean, this story is amazing in 1,000 ways. First, when you said in the beginning of the first show, you got a story about a 43-year-old man and his porn connection, I thought, is JR 43? I thought you were gonna tell a personal story. Okay, no, you got a real news story there. Second of all, imagine how disappointed you would be in your kid if that's how they turned out.
Yep.
And like, the divorce is no big deal. Everybody gets divorced. And that could be for any reason, right? So okay, he moves back, and that's okay. That's all right. It happens. He's divorced. He moves back. No problem at all, right? But then like this whole thing, like, he obviously doesn't have his life put together, etc. But when he sues you for his porn collection, nah, I mean, man, it's heartbreaking. Not because you got to pay, not because he sued. It's heartbreaking because, I mean, your son's a weirdo. Like, Jesus, man, oh, that would kill me. Oh my God, that would kill me.
Like, what if they don't have the money? Like, you got to pay up for all these random things. By the way, they're probably trying to protect him. They sent him to a Christian center, so they're probably religious. Like, how disappointed are they? And there's another very good line from this. The guy from the Sun. He goes, "It's very difficult to find a price for many of these items. Many titles are unavailable. And when I say unavailable, I mean unavailable anywhere."
Yeah, because it's bestiality. And it's probably illegal to get him. I can't believe the judge gave him money for what emotional distress or whatever the hell he gave him for. That's insane. I just sometimes, man, look, the legal system is so necessary, and oftentimes it holds corporations accountable, etc. Do my standard caveat. And then sometimes the legal system is maddening. You run into the wrong judge and they will decide insane, irrational things that makes you want to tear all your hair out.
Bro, it gets worse. I'm sorry, Dave. I know you have lots of thoughts because I saw you respond. But one more of this quote. He goes, "I've had these titles on my wish list, want list for a year with no postings. Think, not just out of print, but the entire studio making it dissolved. And that was 20 years ago. I bought all these items either new or mint or VG plus condition. I played them maybe once or twice because I didn't want them to get scratched or messed up. The list details DVDs, VHS tapes, and sex toys. So your parents find this stuff, including your VHS, your tapes, and sex toys. I would have thrown that garbage out too, bro.
Yeah, the funny thing is, I wouldn't have thrown it out, right? I would have thought it's none of my business. What am I throwing it out for? What am I judging his life? I don't care, right? Let him keep it. It's just like a moment of awkwardness, and you move on, right? But the crime of throwing them out does not match the consequence of having to give your loser son $45,000 for his beloved bestiality porn collection. Okay, Dave.
Yeah, I don't know. First, if you leave something at someone's house, they can't throw it out. Why do you get anything? Second, I wonder how much research the judge did on the value of the collection, because $10,000, maybe that is a very accurate valuation of the selling value of that collection. So did the judge have some experience in this? Did he do a lot of research?
I wonder now.
Did he send his clerks to do this? But then 35,000. Then that's just the whole point. Porn should be transitory. If you have it and you lose it, doesn't everyone accept that that's the way it is? And then you get more. It's not like an old 1930s comic book that we all know that should last forever and that should have a value forever. You have a porn collection and it gets lost in a flood, in a fire, someone throws it out, someone finds it stolen. That's part of, I thought we all accept that that's how it works.
Yeah, no, David's now got two old school rules. This has been a target rich show. So we've got a lot of rules in one show. So number one, yes, I agree with you, Dave, and that should be a rule, and I don't know why it's not a law. If you leave something at somebody's house, they're doing you a favor. At any moment, they could stop doing you the favor, first of all, right? Let alone it's your parents, let alone you already moved out and you're a bum, right? But like, no, you left it at my house. I didn't leave it at your house, okay? And so I didn't come to your house and steal your stuff, okay? You left it here and said, can you please hold on to it? I said, yeah, I guess for now, even though you're kind of a dick, right? And when you were an extra dick, I threw it away. Okay, nah, this is like the worst ruling in America. Like, Jer, I'm almost livid over it.
Yeah, they kicked him out, so maybe that's part of it. I don't know. But what did he do to get kicked out? Probably was causing chaos in their house. They can't be. He's 43. They can't be like, unless they were really young when they had him. But they're from a different generation. They're like, bro, what's the value in this? And you caused chaos in our house. We have to kick you out, and you want us to hold on to some of this disgusting stuff? No, yeah. No.
So they're very religious. So there's a good chance I disagree with them, and I don't think there's anything wrong with porn, et cetera. But I'm still 100% on their side. So number one rule, whether it's in the law or not, it's now established in old school. If you leave something at somebody's house, they have the right to throw it away. So hurry up and figure out what you want to do and go back and get it as soon as you can. Because yeah, what if your wife goes, I don't like this here, I throw it away, right? Like here, I'll do a quick story about that, and I'll get to the second rule that Dave established. My nephew Murat, he leaves stuff in the garage here all the time. Like 60% of the garage is his stuff.
Oh my God, really?
Okay, yeah. And he loves that. He likes to mark his territory. And he's got something at Haas's, he's got something at mine and stuff. And so, but we're like, hey Murat, we're gonna try to do something with the garage. So can you start to clear out some of your stuff? And he's like, a lot of the stuff in there is yours too. We're like, yeah, that's because it's our garage. But I would never, of course, I would never throw his stuff away. But
he knows that. He knows that.
I know. Maybe I should do like a, kind of like a warning shot, where I throw away something that doesn't look that important. His motorcycle is here. I work up to the motorcycle. But now I know because of JR. Don't throw away the motorcycle. Judge will kick your ass and make you pay for it.
You got to check how much it's worth and emotional damage. Yeah.
Yeah. So his second rule that Dave just established is, if you have a porn collection of any sort, you must understand and agree that it is transitory. Like, you can't complain if somebody else throws out your porn. or if you misplaced your porn or you threw it out and then regret it, which is, of course, what happens every time.
Yeah, I mean, think about it. Like if you rented an apartment and you were late on rent or whatever, or maybe you were partying too hard and the landlord kicked you out on the streets or eviction notice, whatever reason, and your stuff's still in, I think it could get thrown out. I don't know if there's some kind of a buffer period where you can go and get your stuff, but it's a similar situation. You got kicked out, you were evicted.
You know what? I want to find this couple and I want to give them money so they can appeal. Like this is a crime against humanity, what that guy did to his poor parents. And look, I'm pro porn, and so this is a topsy-turvy story here, which leads me to my final story. I had a friend who was constitutionally incapable of throwing out porn and thought it was bad juju. Is that what they say?
There's people like that.
Yeah, and he thought, well, I built up this mighty collection. I don't want to just throw it away. So as he's the same guy who he came to America. His mom redid his childhood bedroom because he doesn't live there anymore, and she turned it into another room that she could use because she was alone in the house at that point. He comes back to Turkey, he sees it, and he flips out, and he's like, "No, all my memories were there, and so it's now apparent to me that you hate me." And that psychological war began then and has continued for 30 years.
Oh,
okay. He didn't sue, but like they would have been better off if he sued.
He's like punishing her emotionally or something?
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
Oh.
He's like, well, that means she doesn't care about me. It's super obvious she doesn't care about me. No, it means you moved to a different country. That's what it means. Hey, yes, she's wrong. She should have checked with you. You are more wrong when you don't let that grudge go for 30 years. Okay, so so he had a porn collection. He was moving again, and so he shipped it to me. It's like he bothered to pay to ship it to me. Okay, and by the way, one person's porn collection is not necessarily another person's porn collection, right? So I'm like, okay, man, bless your heart, I appreciate it, I guess. So, yeah, not even I guess, I appreciate it. It's a nice thought. Right? A little awkward, but it's a nice thought. And so then I'm leaving because it was law school, and I'm gonna move to a new apartment, or I'm going back home, or whatever it is. Like now he bothered to ship it to me. I feel bad throwing it out. So what am I gonna do? So I asked a friend that I thought might want one, okay, and it turns out he did, and he took it with some trepidation. He's like, I'm like, it's a collection, you know, enjoy it. If you know it, you throw it away, right? And he's like, okay, he takes it, and then the next day he comes up to me in school and he's like, Cenk, what have you done?
Oh,
you have given me a treasure chest.
What have you done?
He's like, how can I repay you? This is amazing. I'm like, dude, okay, got it. Already an awkward situation, getting more awkward as you're telling me this is the greatest gift you've ever received.
You could have said,
how can you repay $45,000?
You know what? I should find him and see if he say, oh, just innocently ask him, hey, remember that thing I gave you? Oh, yeah. What'd you ever do that? Oh, I mean, when I moved, I threw it away. That's it. You owe me $45,000. That's it. I'm coming for you.
This is a Michigan judge, so maybe if you go ahead and act like it was up in Michigan, maybe you get the same one. It'll work out for you.
Yeah, maybe.
Lovely.
All right, that was a good story.
Good.
That was a
good.
Great story.
You didn't say the friend's name, did you?
Huh?
Say the friend's name.
Yeah.
By the way, did he give you some kind of instruction? Like he sent it to you, like hold this for me. Like, what's the point? Like,
no. He called me and told me. He said I'm sending it, and he usually does the thing before he tells me because I'll go no, don't send it. Right? He knows I'm going to say that, right? So he's like, no, I already sent it. I'm just telling you, it's coming to your house, and it's because I'm moving back, and it's a crime to throw away a collection like this. So he just wanted to avoid going to The Hague over it.
See, it's those kind of things that make me, if that happened to me, if I was in your shoes, I'd have been like, So what is it about me that makes you think? Why didn't you send this to anyone else? What vibes did I give off?
Let's be honest. Yeah, you didn't have to ask that with me. Okay, I'm not gonna bullshit and go like, what would make you think that? When I am such a pure and innocent person. Golly gee, adult movies. Well, I would never. I think everyone that knows me knows he would. Okay, he would ever. All right, we're gonna go on to the Mets, but Felicia wrote in, great to see Dave and Jared with Cenk today on Old School. That's awesome, Felicia. And Funkin' for Fun writes, I have podcasts or news, as in TYT, on in the background while I work. Well, that I can get behind. Okay, TYT 24/7 in the background. Now we're having a conversation. Okay, JR, Mets story.
Oh, okay, so the setup quickly is the Mets suck. And that's the thing that you can kind of figure out every year. Mets fans are tired of them sucking, as they are tired of them sucking every year. Even in the years when they're good, then at the end of the year they suck anyway. It happens. You guys probably know this. So the problem now is they've got these two superstars, Francisco Lindor and Javier Baez. They got Javier Baez in a trade from the Cubs because the Cubs did a fire sale, and they got Francisco Lindor from Cleveland, and he signed an extension for like 10 years to stay there. He's like, I'm in New York, it's a big market, it's gonna be awesome. Got paid tons of money. They're not doing well, and so the fans have done what you could expect New York fans to do. They're booing them. Strikeouts, misplays, whatever it is they're doing. Mostly it's like at the plate. They're not batting well. Guys in scoring position, they don't pick them up. Ooh, this is the most basic story in the world, right? No. Lately, baseball players have been doing all these celebrations when they get on base, when they hit a home run, when they make a good play. Maybe they'll do like a thing towards like their dugout, where they'll do a little hand gesture, whatever, right? The latest hand gesture from Francisco Lindor and Javier Baez is when they do something good. Because you've been getting booed so much. Now they're starting to direct their thumbs down to the fans, ironically and sarcastically, by going, so say Francisco Lindor hit a triple the other day. He runs to third base, gets on third, looks in the crowd and goes, like, oh, are you gonna boo me when I do well? Javier Baez does something well, goes and thumbs down. They win a game, thumbs down. So they're giving it back to the fans, is the basic idea. And the fans aren't very happy about it. And what's been discovered, this is the reason why this story is now happening. They've been doing it for a while now, apparently. But it's been happening because a reporter finally asked Javier Baez, like, what's with the new celebration? What's the thumbs down? And he goes, well, when we have success, when we don't have success, they boo us. When we have success, maybe we should thumbs down, right? You know, all's fair, right? And he explained that's the reason. Since he explained it, there's an explosion. The Mets owner, front office, everyone came out with a statement now saying, sorry, this is the team president. These comments and any gestures by him and other players with a similar intent are totally unacceptable and will not be tolerated. So it sounds like there's gonna be some kind of punishment put forward if they continue to thumbs down their own fans. And he said, essentially, if fans are going to boo the players, poor performances, the players are going to dish it back when they succeed. That's what the response is from Baez. So now there's this conflict between the two of them, and the owner and the president is now siding with the fans who like to boo these players. And now all day, as it's been playing in the background while I've been doing the work, I'm hearing that sports talk people, pundits, everyone discussing this is like, how dare these spoiled, rotten, overpaid, spoiled, sucky players respond to the fans by booing them. You know, you take your boos and you do better. I don't agree. We've been spoon feeding and coddling New York, Boston, Philly, whatever fans for decades, saying if you're gonna play in New York, they're gonna boo you if you have one strikeout. If you lose a game, they're gonna boo you. And we're supposed to celebrate them. We said New York fans are tough. How tough are you if you can't take it when the player does something well and mocks you by booing you right back? Are you tough guys? Or are you just tough guys when you're the bully? Oh, we pay our hard-earned money to come into the stadium and watch you suck and play. Well, I have an idea. Stop going and paying your hard-earned money to play. Overpaid fans, overpaid players. I hate that term, because those are always designated towards black and brown players. First of all, they're overpaid. They don't deserve what they've done. They've used their entire lives getting to this point, but for some reason now they're overpaid for what they did. When they sign the contract and they're doing well, they're not overpaid. They're only overpaid when they say something back to you for being dicks. So you can come in there, walk into the stadium, be an asshole, and after you do it, cry when they respond to you. Come on, bro. Hey, if you're tough New Yorkers, be tough New Yorkers and take it.
Yeah. Okay, tomorrow the 905 Dragon Road, and glad we got to this story. TYT Supreme Court needs to rule on whether the Mets players are wrong. So JR has, Justice Jackson has ruled. He's saying the players are not wrong. I'm going to make this anticlimactic by agreeing with JR and making it 2-0. So Dave's vote will be irrelevant, but we will get to it nonetheless. And I have the same exact rationale as Jaron, and I thought the same thing, JR, before you said it, which is like, oh, you're tough guys, right? You boo people. New York Phillies, another great example. Man, you took the words right out of my mouth. And then when they kind of boo you back, all of a sudden you're crying. There's no crying in baseball. Okay, there's no crying in baseball from the players. There's also no crying from the fans. Like what? Did they hurt your feelings? Like, are you serious, dog? You're gonna watch sports and then you're gonna say the players hurt your feelings? Nah, then don't watch sports and don't pretend you're a fan. Nah, you don't get to cry over it. It's such a weak sauce move. So that, and to me, if they do the thumbs down back, especially if you're from New York, you should appreciate that. You should be like, oh, you know what? Turns out these motherfuckers are New Yorkers. I like them. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah, Dave.
Well, I'm glad my ruling doesn't matter because I'm conflicted. So I agree with JR. This coddling of the New York, Philly, Boston fan is dumb. I agree the fans shouldn't be offended by the Mets players doing thumbs down. But at the same time, players shouldn't be jerks like that. I mean, they can be if they want, but I'm not in favor of that. So yeah. I am against the play. No, you shouldn't do the thumbs down. The fans shouldn't be offended by it. But what are you doing to antagonize the fans like that for? Why are you doing that? It's a bad attitude.
That's an interesting idea. I mean, look, I love our viewers, so I would never do it. And of course, they've never booed us, so it's not a problem. I don't know any viewer who later has decided that we're no good. To you, it's not like it used to be in 2007. Okay. Oh, you guys made a turn in 2011 and you never recovered. Okay, so yes, that's happening.
Well, yeah, and by the way, I get the president and the ownership because they don't care about baseball. They care about their money. Let's keep it real. Many of these owners have other business ventures. They were rich from something else before they bought any shares and parts of this team. So they actually don't give a damn about baseball. They care about making money. So as soon as the fans go, oh my God, you offended us, and you go, oh my God, I'm sorry, you guys. They are not gonna do this again. They're never gonna do it again. Calm down. So the last line of this statement from the president said, Mets fans are loyal, passionate, knowledgeable, and more than willing to express themselves. We love them for every one of these qualities. They're not loyal. It's not loyal. Loyal is the wrong word to say. They're not very knowledgeable, because if they were, they would realize that baseball is a hard sport. Nothing annoys me more than schleps sitting on their couch with beer bellies and penciled legs going, I could have hit that one. No, by the way, no, you couldn't. Because when you were 10 years old and you quit playing baseball because you sucked, that's when your baseball career ended. So you don't talk about what you could have done because you couldn't do it, or else you'd be doing it. You ass.
All right,
I hate that position.
Let me talk about tennis for a second. Novak Djokovic, whenever he's playing Nadal or Federer, the fans are always against him. But then he triumphs over his opponent, and he makes gestures to the fans, but he doesn't insult the fans. He makes gestures like, "Oh yeah, you think you don't like me? How do you like that tennis? How do you like that shot? Yeah, come on, now you're going to be for me." He does it really well.
Isn't that similar?
He's obviously frustrated with the fans, but he does it in a positive way.
No, that was the least convincing argument ever. I agree with Jared. That's almost identical to what the Mets players are doing. So you might be right, Dave, but if you have not recounted it well enough for me to understand how that's positive. Well, what now is positive as opposed to this?
It's I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, and the Mets, I knew they were toast when they did that dumbass contract. I swear to God, I thought this, however old I was. And as I was trying to remember the player, I was like, Mookie Blaylock, Mookie Wilson, no. And then I think it's Bobby Bonilla, the guy they made the permanent contract for, and they would pay him for the rest of life. You guys remember this?
No, that was before I was watching. This was in the 90s, right?
Yeah, it must have been. Yeah, they got some big star, and they made this dumb contract where they said, we're gonna pay you every single year for the rest of your life.
Oh my God.
And I was like, no, that's so dumb. There's no way they don't regret that. There's no way. And of course, whoever it was, they sucked. They had to pay him. They're still paying him. I saw a story just a couple months ago where they're like, oh, the 20th anniversary or whatever of still paying. I think it might have been Bobby Bonilla, but I'm not positive.
The best contract of all time. I'm all for it. That's a good job, Bobby. If it was Bobby, that's awesome. Sorry, my last one thought of this. Also, by the way, because there was one pundit today on TV that said the right thing. He used to play, and he goes, why do players have to be robots? He goes, what if you have a bad day? He mentioned specifically his mom had cancer like a month ago. His father's had a heart attack last week. And he goes, what if I'm playing and I come into the ballpark down? He goes, do I get to be down? Do I get to be human regardless of the fact that I drive a Mercedes and regardless of the fact that I have $1 million house? Do I get to still be down and have an off month? By the way, there's a word in baseball for it. It's called a slump. The reason there's a term for it is because everyone goes through one. It's for you to boo them. And you, by the way, if you're fans of your team and you want to win, what do you think is going to motivate the team better? You booing them or you going, encouraging them through the hard times? If you're a fan, would you think booing will help? Or do you think you're gonna win now when you boo them? Which one do you think is gonna happen? We forget that these guys are human beings. And if they were out there, as illustrated by their reaction to the response, they would cry from someone booing them because they don't like it when the players simply thumbs down them back. So if you want your team to win, maybe support them. Crazy how that works.
Okay. So I looked it up. First of all, I flip and I disagree with JR. No, if you're a fan, you also get to boo. Okay?
You can, but it's not gonna get you anywhere.
Of course. What was it gonna work? Like, oh, they're booing me. Well, that motivates me. That's it. I'm gonna do better. No, that's spending. And yeah, that one I agree with them. They pay their hard-earned money. Let them cheer, let them boo, let them do whatever they want. But don't be a crybaby when the player does it back. Like baseball is so annoying. Don't celebrate. Don't do this. Don't do that. Don't do a thumbs up. Don't do a thumbs down. Okay, just shut up and let them do whatever they want. It might be slightly entertaining. Anyway, I found it. It is Bobby Bonilla, and after the contract in '99. He was already, they had signed him in '91. He was already mediocre. He wasn't terrible, but he wasn't good either. But they re-signed him in '99, and he went on to hit 160. And they're still paying him. Let me see. Oh no, to be fair, no, it wasn't for the rest of his life. It's 1.1 million a year until 2035.
Wow.
That's a like a 45-year contract. That's even better than the porn guy's deal. Holy cow, that's such a great contract.
No, if I were him, you guys know how paranoid I get. I'd be like, as soon as they realize how bad this is for them, I'm gonna start watching my back because basically I'm gonna get paid till I'm dead, right? I'm gonna watch some poison in my food. I'm not gonna eat out.
No, I think it's still 2035. So they'd probably have to keep paying his family anyway. So don't worry, the Mets aren't going to poison Bobby Bonilla. By the way, Lemon Moose wrote in, I still chuckle when I remember DK's debate was sure, hockey versus tennis. I don't think that's close. I don't love either sport to say the least, especially watching it, but definitely tennis is better to watch than hockey.
Yeah, the debate was hockey versus cycling.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
Oh boy, Jesus.
Should have stuck with tennis, Dave.
Yeah, tennis, at least somebody could, in hockey versus cycling, all you're getting is boos. It was like boo, boo on both. So now I want to go to at least one more thing here, but apparently we've got more comments. Cinderessa writes in from Twitch. This is my first time watching Old School. It won't be my last. It's like getting to know you guys. I like it.
Yeah,
exactly. Right. You get it now. You get it. And Progressive Squirrel says Mets have sucked for 20 years. We earned our right to heckle millionaires. I agree with that. Okay, that's right. And I think the Bobby Bonilla contract put the jinx on them. Not that they were good for that brief moment in the 80s.
Mm-hmm.
There's a couple of teams that I love that they suck forever, and when they get good, I don't like it.
Like Cubs?
No, I don't care about the Cubs, and I don't care about baseball anymore. But the Mets, I still hold on to because I was a Yankees fan, and I was bitter in '85 when everybody put on the Mets hats when nobody was a Mets fan. They're all liars, right? All of a sudden, the whole school in New Jersey is filled with Mets fans. Fuck off, okay? So every one of them was a liar. And Browns, the Browns are supposed to suck. Now they're like Browns being the Steelers in the playoffs. Boo! Not just because I'm a Steelers fan, but no, you guys should know your role. Your job is to fucking suck. So just go back to doing that. I hope they, it's Clippers so disappointing to see them play well.
Yeah, Clippers too. That was the other one.
Man, that's not a bad point. Yeah. But Clippers is kind of like an underdog you can root for. It's not exactly right. I'll have to think of another one that and you can actually argue Milwaukee. Like, what the fuck is Milwaukee doing being good? Right? That is I'm 74. They're supposed to suck. All right, Breakbeat Dragon says, LOL, hearing Cenk curse makes me smile. Oh, dude, you should have seen the real Old School. Until when we went on the OTTs, we had to stop cursing because that's the rule on there, right? And so that's where actually viewers can say, "Oh, you guys changed." Well, no, we did on that one. Because before then, we used to curse on the show all the time, or all the fucking time. So you would have liked UIT a lot more, or even more back then. Free Taco Fur, thank you for subscribing for 6 months. And Jen Jones Advocate just subscribed, so that's awesome. All right, so another pet peeve that I remembered. No, I'm gonna let JR go first, and I'll say to that. Actually, JR, run through your pet peeves real quick.
Yeah, so I was telling them and in the break, I've said this on shows many times, but could care less. When people say it, I remember for some reason Hillary Clinton's voice in my head is always the one, even though tons and tons of people say it. But as soon as I hear it, I get mad and go, damn it, I remember that one time Hillary Clinton said, I could care less. It actually means the opposite, in case you guys haven't picked up on that yet. It's could not. I could not care less because I'm so low on the bottom of caring, I couldn't care less. If I could care less, that means I kind of care. Please stop saying I could care less, because you can.
Okay, can I just say before we move on to the other two? Number one, you're absolutely right. Okay, and I've always been slightly annoyed by that too. I'm like, it can't be both because people use it interchangeably. But just logically speaking, it most definitely cannot be both. And if you bother to think about it for 5 seconds, 2 seconds, whatever, you'd realize, oh, it's obviously couldn't care less. Oh, right. Because you can get a verbal habit, it could be a tick, etc. Right.
Right.
But that's not why I interrupted. I interrupted to tell you that Dave was going like, yes, yes, because you hit a grammar pet peeve. So
that's right. That's
yeah,
right, the grammar one.
Yeah, I'm with you on this one.
And it's not like forte, by the way. I was the nerd in like middle school, and that's when I learned that when somebody said it's my forte, I heard, maybe I was wrong, but I thought this was real when they said it's my fort. It's pronounced fort because it's like a French word. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong again. But when I learned that, I said, I'm gonna stop saying forte because I don't want to be that guy. And so I started saying fort, and no one knew what the hell I was talking about. So I said, I guess I'm gonna go back to forte because we're just talking. Anyways, the next one.
Hey, which one is it, by the way? I don't know.
I'm not sure. I don't care about pronunciation. Let people pronounce the way they pronounce.
Yeah,
it's a French word. It's a French word.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, see, not merciful. Okay, go ahead, Joe.
The other one was drivers, slow drivers in the fast lane. That's basic. Especially in LA. I can't do it.
Yeah, my corollary to that, and this happens fairly regularly, is I don't mind if they're driving slow. That happens. Hey, that's you do you, boo, right? And sometimes they're in the left lane. They're usually like undocumented or older, right? And they're like needlessly panicking and stuff. It's okay. I'm still okay with that. No, you just don't jump out in front of me and then slow down. No, that's come on. And then pick one, but you can't.
Give me your identity, yeah. And my last is when you're checking out at the grocery store, because this happens mostly at Trader Joe's. If you have, there's a certain theme of your grocery list because maybe you're purchasing dinner. So if you have taco shells, meat, guacamole, sour cream and cheese, tomatoes, as they're scanning, because they're gonna be so nice and they've been told to talk to you, they go, taco night, huh? It's not even Tuesday, huh? It's like, no. Listen, I don't need you to analyze my shit. What if there's something in there that I don't really want you to be looking at so closely? Maybe I just switched to vegan and I got some vegan meat. I don't want to have a conversation about that. I don't want to talk about how I went to my doctor and he said that I got to stop eating red meat, so therefore I got to stop eating ground beef and now I got to switch to ground turkey. I don't want those conversations now because you want to gin up some kind of small talk with me while we scan my food. Can we just move on, please? Why? What do we? Was this? I really want to ask one guy once. I was like, do they ask you guys to make small talk? But I thought that'd be a little too rude. I was gonna say it jokingly so I could get the answer without being an asshole. So I just bailed. I bailed on that question.
Oh, I got you, dog. So I will, now that I know, first of all, you're wrong. But second of all, I'll do you a solid anyway. And I'll ask, you know why? Ironically, I small talk. And so I small talk them, okay? So in the midst of me small talking them, I will ask them, hey, did they ever tell you do or don't small talk customers? I'll get you the answer. It'll be ironically part of my small talk.
As I jump in on the JR one, yeah, the Taco Tuesday joke specifically was really annoying, and that would have annoyed me. But I'm completely opposite you. Yeah, you go shopping, different themes. Sometimes I have a lot of junk food and snacks, and I just want to quietly buy it and let people leave me alone. Sometimes I'm in there and it's all fruits and vegetables, and I want the cashier to say, "Oh, healthy shopping today." I want them to recognize.
Yeah.
And they
you
never
guys
do.
Are way overthinking this. I love it. I love any overthinking like this. I couldn't give a shit what the guy thinks of my chef. I don't care if it's vegetables or Cheetos. I don't care at all what he thinks. On the other hand, I like any conversation. If he's like, "Oh, it's taco night tonight," I guarantee you that we're gonna have a perfectly lovely conversation for 98 seconds, and everybody's gonna walk away happy.
Okay, Jake. It's a different scenario. Say this hasn't happened, but now I was gonna go further. Say you're at Target or wherever, Kohl's, and you're buying new underwear, something a little more personal. Like, oh, briefs, man, huh? I'm a boxer man myself. Why are we talking about this?
Oh, I'm right in. I'm knee deep in that conversation. I could say another body part deep in, but anyway. So no, I'd be like, oh yeah, I buy the tighty whities for running and exercise, and I do the briefs. The boxers for normal. I used to always just do briefs, but it turns out boxers are more airy. Like I'll be right in there with that guy, okay? And you can't name something awkward enough that I wouldn't talk about it. Like if they were like lube, that's interesting. What are you up to tonight? I'd be like fucking.
Oh my God! Oh no, I don't want. No. I take it back.
I like how you pulled one back. I like that a lot.
I can't.
No. Discretion is the better part of valor. If you pulled it back on old school, it should be pulled back.
Yes,
that's my instinct.
Yes. I just want to repeat. I want to be recognized when I do healthy shopping. I want someone to recognize.
Does it? Because it doesn't happen very often.
No, it happens. But.
Yeah, no, I like inappropriate conversations, and like these days, by the way, that's part of the problem. That like inappropriate conversations are more frowned upon, right? Oh, did you take their thoughts into account when you said fucking? Well, they take into account when they asked about the lube, right? So, anyways, so I remember we talked about Blockbuster. It might have been JR, you were on it. Maybe it was the three of us, right? And the other day, and I never got to say the part why I brought up the conversation in the first place, which is I miss Blockbuster because I like to walk around the store. I loved walking around the store, right? To see all the movies, right? Now there's nowhere to walk. You know, what's the new movies? I don't know. There's no more Blockbuster, so I can't walk around. So I have no idea what the new movies are, right? Or what the new movies have been for the last year or two that they would have that you would browse. Oh, I love browsing at Blockbusters. But one day I go to Blockbuster. I know the answer, but I go to. Because back in the day, they had normal mom and pop video stores. Then Blockbuster comes in, it's like the first one to be like a mega chain, right? But if you're gonna be a mega corporation, you gotta keep it clean. All the mom and pops folks had a porn section. But Blockbuster, since a major corporation, didn't have one. And they like had this like family attitude and stuff. And so I walked up to one of like, hey, how you doing? Welcome to Blockbuster, guys. I'm like, hey guys, I walked around, I don't get it. Where's the porn? Right? And he's like, sir, this is a family company and we don't have that. I'm like, families watch porn. Yeah, I have a family, I watch porn. And he said, well, sir. Anytime I'm getting somebody to go, sir, I'm having fun.
Well, by the way, first of all, I agree with him. But number two, the other part is the only problem with his argument is that he gave the family line. So the best response from you should have been, so what's up with this horror section? Should I watch that with my 5-year-old son? Because there's something about murderous and killing and hiding under the bed and slitting wrists and stabbing in the face. Should I watch that with my kid? Because actually, those are the things that are traumatic to children than any of this other stuff.
No, JR, now you hit another pet peeve of mine. So we only got a minute left, so I'll hit those two pet peeves and we'll wrap. The American Horror Story, the FX show, they have billboards all across town, and they're all like ripping people's heads off, like ghoulish things, like biting people in the face. Like this is 1,000 times worse than if you just put breasts on a billboard. Because my kids aren't freaked out by breasts. Their mom has breasts. They're like, it's not a big deal. It's part of the human body, right? Where like they don't want to see like, so I bit your fucking face, like blood everywhere, and they're like, Dad, what is that? No, horror is 1,000 times worse than normal nudity. Don't get me wrong, for kids, porn is bad. Of course. So anyway, all right, last one. So I despise restaurants where you have to order and then get your own shit, right? So like fast food makes sense. That's fast food, right? Diner, you sit down, you order, that makes sense. But now there's a new one where it's not just like, there's the ones in the middle where you order and then they kind of bring half of it to you, but you got to get your own drinks and all this stuff. And I went to one the other day, I already hated that, but I went to one the other day that's a diner, but you have to order and then get your own stuff. No, Dick.
How do you get it?
Then. No, don't besmirch the idea of diners by telling me I got to go get my own shit. Okay. And part of the reason is I'm a klutz. So if I went and got the coffee, but I got to get the water, and I like, wait, do I make 2 trips, 3 trips? Do I try to carry it at once? This shit stresses me out, right? And I go sit at the rinky-dink tables. I put the coffee down, and as I'm sitting down, I hit the table leg, and the coffee spills everywhere. I'm like, I hate this place. I hate this place. You know where I get my own shit? At home, where I don't pay you like weirdo LA prices for a sandwich, right? Where I'm out $25 for a burger and a coffee, and you didn't even bring that shit to me.
No, this isn't a buffet, no.
No. Buffets, I love buffets. That's totally different. Because then you're in a buffet state of mind, okay? And then you got the buffet options. But no, I order stuff and go, nah. And now that I'm on a roll, I know we're past time, but that place, it sounded like it had a pastrami burger. It's a new diner pastrami burger. I'm so excited. I almost lined up for its grand opening, right? And so then it turns out you got to order and sit. I hate it. And then I get the pastrami burger, and I was on the phone because I'm always on the phone doing something, right? Business. And 2/3 of the way through the burger, I'm like, where the fuck's the pastrami, right? So I asked the waitress, I said, what happened to the pastrami? She's like, I have no idea, we're new. Okay, and so she calls the manager comes in. Manager goes, oh no, you had to read it carefully. It's not a pastrami burger. The pastrami is mixed into the onion marmalade. I'm like, oh guys, nah. No, you're doing a real diner. You don't mix the pastrami into an onion marmalade. And the pastrami's salty. I ordered because I wanted double salt, right? The burger and the pastrami, like a bacon burger, right? Yeah. And then you give me the sweet taste of the marmalade thing, but you chopped up pastrami into it. I can't even taste the pastrami. It just looked like little pieces of turd in there, and it's sweet and fucked up the burger. And the guy says, oh no, I see. Yeah, people make that mistake all the time. I'm like, you know why? Because it looks like it's a fucking pastrami burger. That's why they made the mistake. They didn't make the mistake, you made the mistake. I'm like this. Okay. And he says, I'll make it up to you. I'll give you a arugula. I'm like, okay. I'm like, you can't lose with arugula. Chocolate arugula, cheese arugula, love them, right? Cinnamon, give it to me. Nuts, no problem. He brings me an apricot arugula that's salty. I'm like, no, Dick, the burger's supposed to be salty. The arugula is supposed to be sweet. This place is a disaster.
Welcome to the dark side, Cenk. Give up on restaurants altogether. Go this direction, bro. You're giving me so many reasons that I didn't know happen in restaurants anymore because I don't go, to not go to them anymore. They need to invent new things because restaurants are everywhere and they need some new hook. It's like, okay, let's do Korean, soul food, Mexican fusion. No, let's not fuse those three. Let's not do that.
You're so right. They're just bored, and they're like, I don't know, man. Let's take God's food like pastrami and turn it into something shitty that nobody will like. And of course, by the way, there was a line around the corner. You know why? It turns out they got good reviews. And you know why they got good reviews? Because they do pastrami onion marmalade. And the food review guy at the LA Times is so bored. And he's like, oh, it's different. Oh, thank God it's different. Oh my God, I'm so happy. Okay, I'm giving it a great review. That's why Wendy never listens to critics before going to a movie. She's like, they're bored. If the movie is super weird, they'll give it a great rating. Because it's like, they're like, oh, thank God it's different, right?
Yeah.
She's like, I don't want different. I want a good movie.
These are true statements. Super last thing for me is, I'm not sure how fast you were eating, but it took you 2/3 through the burger to realize that there was no pastrami on it. I don't know why you didn't know after the first bite.
Now, because I'm on a business call, so and I hate not concentrating on my food because you know me, I like to savor, right? Yeah. But on a business call, I'm concentrating on the call, right? And I'm muting and taking a bite, taking a bite, because I don't want to be on a call and be like, yeah, what else? What else you got, right? So when I do that, I realized, and it's okay, super duper last thing, apparently that's another one. JR, it's funny you say that, because I remember thinking the same thing and going, Cenk, it takes you 2/3 through a burger to realize there's no pastrami. You wasted this burger. You wasted this, and I got mad at myself. And then as I was driving to the studio, I was like, look, I'm so full. And I got full on that crap.
Yep.
Oh, I'm so mad at myself. So
nothing's worse than wasting space in your stomach with bad food. Nothing is worse.
Totally agreed. All right, as we depart tonight, Dave, I believe you eat healthy.
Thank you.
You should have seen his face when you said you wanted pastrami on your burger. He's like, oh my God.
Yo, that whole burger thing, you have issues there. A lot of issues there.
No, at 255, you think I have issues? I don't know about that. Some troll put in a comment, at 5'8", 315, I wouldn't be talking about health issues on some vaccine thing, right? I'm like, Dick, it's 5'9", 255. It's already bad enough. And you didn't have to exaggerate, but by a little bit. Like, either go to 400 or to get it right. But 315, okay. Anyways, all right. Much love, JR, Dave. You're awesome. We'll see you guys next time.
All right. See you guys.